If you eat or drink something, then you'll expect the blood sugar to rise. But it's a bit strange for people if their blood sugar rises without them drinking or eating. There are several explanations why your blood sugar might rise without you eating or drinking anything. And it's important to know these because it will solve a lot of confusion in your life as somebody with high blood sugar problems or type 2 diabetes. I'm Ali from illnessfreelife.com, and in this video you'll get 7 explanations why your blood sugar might rise without eating or drinking. Explanation 1. The dawn phenomenon. The dawn phenomenon is a natural mechanism or process in the body of all human beings, and it explains why people wake up with higher blood sugars than they went to bed. Although you might have taken your high blood sugar in the morning for granted, it's of course a bit strange that if you measure your blood sugar before going to bed and after waking up, you'll always see that the blood sugar after waking up is higher than when you went to bed. And what makes this strange, of course, is you haven't eaten or drunken anything in your sleep. So how can the blood sugar be higher after waking up compared to before going to bed? And the reason for this is the dawn phenomenon. The dawn phenomenon is a mechanism of the body to maintain energy supply while sleeping. Because even though you're sleeping, your brain, your organs are fully functional. Actually, a lot of organs step up their production or metabolism while you sleep because they can focus on that at that time because you're sleeping and not walking or using your muscles or whatnot. So there is more energy and time to do the things they need to do while you sleep. But of course, all this needs energy, and this energy has to come from somewhere. And if you don't eat or drink, then this energy must come from your reserves. And 2 reserves your body always uses are your fat reserves and your sugar reserves in your liver and muscles. And this also explains why your blood sugar is higher in the morning after you wake up compared to when you went to bed. During your sleep, your body wants to maintain a stable blood sugar. And to do this, your body releases sugars from your reserves into the bloodstream to keep the bloodstream full of sugars to burn while you're sleeping. And the hormones that regulate this do this in 2 ways. One of the hormones is cortisol, which makes you less sensitive to insulin, and thus it causes blood sugars to stay within your bloodstream instead of getting absorbed from the bloodstream. Another hormone is, for example, adrenaline or epinephrine. This hormone helps with the release of sugars from your liver and muscles, and this of course also keeps the blood sugar level elevated for your body to use the sugars during your sleep. These contra-regulating hormones, as they're called, are thus a protective measure from the body to prevent low blood sugar in your sleep, because if you would use all the sugars in your bloodstream without releasing new ones, you would get low blood sugar while you sleep, which is very, very dangerous. Fortunately, as soon as you wake up, your body will start clearing up all these excess sugars and they will be stored again in your liver and muscles. And if you start measuring your blood sugar, for example, as soon as you wake up, each half an hour, you'll see that your blood sugar levels will be lower and lower without you doing anything. And it's purely because your body realized you've woken up, you're probably going to eat somewhere in the near future, and the reason for all these sugars in your blood is not necessary anymore, so we can clean them all back up into your liver and muscles. The dawn phenomenon is also the reason, by the way, we don't advise people to diagnose their type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes based on their fasting blood sugar levels, because fasting blood sugar levels, the blood sugar levels of you as soon as you wake up, will always be higher than, for example, your long-term blood sugar levels, the HbA1c reading. Because fasting blood sugar levels will always be higher than your average blood sugar levels, you will always look to be sicker than you actually are. So if you want to measure your fasting blood sugar levels in the morning, it's fine, but don't go crazy with the readings you're getting. They're just a snapshot of that moment, and they always will be higher than your actual average blood sugar level because of the dawn phenomenon and these contra-regulating hormones. Explanation 2, fasting. People fast for all kinds of reasons. For example, religious reasons, during the Ramadan, for example, or for personal or health reasons. For example, people who apply intermittent fasting in their life. When you're fasting, you'll also often measure higher blood sugar levels than when you're eating. And for most people, this is, of course, again, very strange, because how can blood sugar levels be higher when you're not eating and drinking than when you're eating and drinking? And again, this goes back to those contra-regulating hormones and maintaining a sufficient enough blood sugar level in your body. Because even when you're fasting, your body will need energy to work properly, and this energy has to come from somewhere. And when you're not eating and drinking, it will always come from your stored energy in the form of fats, but also in the form of sugars derived from your muscles or liver. And like with what's happening when you're sleeping, you also need energy when you're awake and fasting and not eating and drinking. And this also explains why people who fast tend to have higher blood sugar levels while they're fasting, and as soon as they start eating and drinking, levels drop down again to the normal self. Now, you might be a bit confused because you might have read or heard that fasting is beneficial for blood sugar levels and it might increase your insulin sensitivity. And this is actually true. Although fasting in the short term might increase your blood sugar because you're using sugars from your reserves, in the long run, it will actually improve insulin sensitivity, because insulin sensitivity is often improved by emptying your storages and then filling them back up again. And there are several ways to empty storages, one of which is fasting. The other one is exercise. We'll discuss that one a bit later. And the problem for most people, of course, is that they never empty their sugar storages. It's only a one-way street. They eat sugars and carbohydrates and they get stored in the liver and muscles, and they rarely empty these storages. But if you regularly empty your storages via fasting, via exercise, then you'll improve blood sugar levels and insulin sensitivity in the long run, despite maybe in the short term elevating blood sugar levels that will be restored again once you start eating and drinking. So don't mind higher blood sugar levels when you're fasting, because although they might seem unhealthy during fasting, in the long run they will be beneficial for your body because the fasting process is beneficial for your body. Explanation 3, exercise. Now, you've probably heard for years that exercise is good for your blood sugar levels and insulin sensitivity, but when you actually start exercising and measure your blood sugar levels, you'll see something strange. During exercise and directly after exercise, you'll measure higher blood sugar levels than pre-exercise. And of course, this is very confusing for most people because they've read and they've heard that exercise is good for the blood sugar and type 2 diabetes and insulin sensitivity. So how can exercise elevate their blood sugar levels? Again, the explanation is very, very simple. During exercise, your body needs enough energy to do the exercises. And this extra energy has to come from somewhere. Now, you do have sugars in your bloodstream when you start working out, so you can burn those, but it's never enough for the entire exercise program you're doing. Meaning you have to release stored energy from somewhere. And again, you release stored fats, but also stored sugars. And these sugars will be measured if you measure your blood sugar during exercise or directly after exercise. Of course, as soon as you stop exercising and your body starts calming down again, all these excess sugars that were released during exercise will be restored back in your liver and your muscles. So although exercise might elevate your blood sugar in the moment, it's actually a good elevation because it's extra energy and sugars you can burn during exercise. And the reason exercise is in the long term good for your blood sugar is because you burn up excess sugars that are already in your bloodstream or were released from your storages, which is of course good, and you improve insulin sensitivity because you're emptying these storages and not only filling them up all the time, which is in the long term good for your insulin sensitivity, although it might cause slight elevated blood sugar levels during exercise and directly after. And there is ample research that shows that exercising is good for maintaining healthy blood sugar levels, getting healthy blood sugar levels, improving insulin sensitivity. So really don't worry if you measure really high blood sugar levels during exercise or after exercise. It just means that you demanded a lot of energy from your body, which is good because it means you've burned up a lot of sugars during exercise, which is good, and you've improved your insulin sensitivity by emptying a lot of these storages in your body. Quick, before we continue, do you like this video and want to receive more of these videos? Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe for free to this YouTube channel. That way you'll never miss a video we publish, and you'll help us reach more people to improve their blood sugar levels and to reverse their diabetes with healthy nutrition. And now back to the video. Explanation 4: illness, injuries or vaccinations. As I've said in this video, any situation where your body needs more energy to maintain energy levels, blood sugar levels, your storages will be asked to release more of their stored energy, either in the form of fats or in the form of sugars, often both. And the same thing happens when you're sick, when you have some sort of injury, or you've gotten a vaccination. Because in all three scenarios, your immune system and your healing systems will have to do more work to heal your illness, to repair maybe a wound or injury you have, or to make more antibodies due to the vaccination you've gotten. And this, of course, demands more energy from your body. And again, this energy has to come from somewhere. To get this extra energy, your body will always use energy stored in your storages, which also explains why you have higher blood sugar levels when you're sick, or when you have some sort of injury, or when you've gotten a vaccination, because all three scenarios demand more from your body, and this increased demand needs an increased energy demand, and this will cause your body to release more sugars from your liver and muscles. And it doesn't have to be illness or injury or vaccination to demand more energy from your body. Any process that demands more work from your body will also cause your blood sugar levels to rise. If you're used to cold weather and all of a sudden it's warm, it will cost your energy more energy to regulate your body temperature. And this more work will also demand more energy, and thus it will also elevate your blood sugar levels. That's why a lot of people see that their blood sugar levels in the summer, when it's really, really hot, are often higher than in winter. Because in summer, your body needs a lot of energy and is doing a lot of work to maintain a healthy body temperature. And of course, this extra work needs extra energy, which is translated into higher blood sugar levels. So if you, for some reason, measure higher blood sugar levels than normal, ask yourself, am I sicker than normal? Do I have an injury? Have I gotten a vaccine? Is there any other reason why my body would need more energy right now than it normally does? Because if the answer is yes, then it's also an explanation why you have higher blood sugar readings than you normally do. Explanation 5, stress. When we experience stress, we always experience higher blood sugar levels. And the reason for this is that our body releases several hormones during our fight or flight reaction, which we experience during stress, which will elevate our blood sugar levels. Now, the fight or flight reaction in our body is a primitive reaction from the Paleolithic age, which helped us with assessing danger. If you saw a bush moving, you had to, at that moment, decide whether you were going to fight or flight. But for both, you needed more energy. So your body releases all kinds of hormones to help you with this. Cortisol is released to make you less sensitive to insulin, which will elevate your blood sugar levels and give you more energy to either fight or flight. Adrenaline, for example, is also released, which helps with the release of stored energy, both fats and sugars. And it will, for example, elevate your blood pressure and heart rate, which helps with fighting or flight. But of course, most people nowadays don't experience fight or flight type of stresses in their life. We have chronic stress from health problems, money problems, relationship problems, or any other social problem. But the reaction in our body is still the same. Our body thinks that we have to do something, either to fight or flight, and this needs more energy. Or at least our body thinks it needs more energy. But it explains why people who experience stress have elevated blood sugar levels. Due to the hormones released during a stress reaction, it will elevate your blood sugar levels. And the more chronic the stress reaction is, the more chronic the effect will be on your blood sugar. And the stress effect on your blood sugar can be very, very high, research shows that it can elevate your blood sugar by 26%, for example, if you have chronic stress in your life, which is of course a lot. The only way to combat stress is by addressing the cause of the stress, whether it's health problems, money problem, relationship problems, family problems. As long as you don't solve the problem of the stress, the source of the stress will remain in your life and you will continue to experience the stress. So if you have chronic stress in your life, it's good to talk with a professional about it, because if it maintains in your life, then you'll keep having high blood sugars in your life, which is of course far from healthy. Contrary to, for example, fasting or exercising, these stresses also elevate blood sugar levels, but at some point they'll start dropping again. With fasting, as soon as you drink or eat, they'll start dropping again. With exercise, as soon as you stop exercising and start resting, they'll drop again. But with chronic stress, they rarely ever drop, because you still have the source of stress in your life. That's why it's very, very important to solve the source of the stress in your life, either alone or with help from friends or family, or from a health professional such as a psychologist or psychiatrist. Explanation 6, lack of good sleep. A lack of good sleep also causes a stress reaction in our body, where hormones will be released, such as the cortisol and the adrenaline or epinephrine that we release during a fight or flight reaction or during chronic stress. And of course, these will increase our blood sugar levels. We know from research that people who sleep bad or not good enough have chronically elevated blood sugar levels due to these hormones that are being released when you don't sleep very well. And thus, even if you experience one bad night of sleep, you'll always see the next day that you have somewhat elevated blood sugar levels than you normally would have. That's how fast and how serious the effect of lack of sleep or lack of good sleep is on your blood sugar. Fortunately, as soon as you sleep good again, these problems go away and these hormones are broken down and taken care of. What's also a problem with lack of sleep or lack of good sleep is that people who don't sleep well don't have enough energy and willpower to make right decisions during the day. And what we often see is that people who have bad sleep or not enough sleep not only have chronically elevated blood sugar levels because of the cortisol and adrenaline and epinephrine, but these people have also chronically elevated blood sugar levels because they make bad decisions when it comes to food and drinking during the day. And both effects will worsen the blood sugar, both the hormones from the lack of sleep and the bad decisions from lack of willpower due to a lack of sleep. All in all, sleeping well is one of the most important things you can do for your body as a whole, and especially if you already have elevated blood sugar problems or type 2 diabetes. But just know that even one night of bad bed rest can elevate your blood sugar the next day. But fortunately, as soon as you start sleeping well again, these problems will go away because the hormones related to bad sleeping or not good enough sleeping will go away eventually. Explanation 7, coincidence. Most people, unfortunately, think that their body is some sort of robot. If they press A, B will happen. If they do 1, 2 will appear. But unfortunately, that's not how the human body works. The human body is a very, very complicated machine. And often you can predict what happens. If you, for example, by accident stab yourself with a knife, then you can expect it to hurt or to bleed. But sometimes your body does things we don't really expect it to do or don't really know why it does it. Always trying to find a reason why your blood sugar is elevated isn't always the best thing, because you won't always find the answer. As long as you eat well, drink well, sleep well, exercise well, you're doing all the things you can do to have a healthy blood sugar and to prevent type 2 diabetes. But sometimes, for some reason, your blood sugar will be elevated. And maybe if we look in all pockets of your body and look at every corner of your body, we might find some inflammation that causes the elevated blood sugar. But like I said, you won't always find a solution or reason why that day your blood sugar is elevated. We often see with our students that follow our diabetes reversing method course that sometimes, even if they drink perfectly and exercise perfectly and sleep perfectly, for some reason they'll start having high blood sugar problems, and maybe a couple of days later the problems go away on their own without them changing anything. And of course, in those days, they're a bit stressed why it got elevated, but by the time they contact us and explain the situation, often we tell them, just wait for it to go away in a couple of days, and in 99.9% it goes away in those days. It's also good to remember that measuring your blood sugar on your own is just a snapshot of that day, of that moment. It doesn't say a lot of things. If you have often a good blood sugar, but you eat a cookie and then measure your blood sugar, you'll measure high blood sugar. Is that a problem? Well, not really, because it's just a snapshot of that moment and it's explained by that cookie. And the same goes for somebody who has chronically elevated blood sugar levels, but maybe exercises very, very hard in that moment, waits in half an hour or an hour, and then measures the blood sugar, and all of a sudden it's a good blood sugar reading. Does it mean that that person is really healthy? No, not really. In that moment, the person is maybe healthy, but if the blood sugar pre-exercise and an hour after the reading is back high again, then that person, of course, is far from healthy. So take your own blood sugar measurements with a grain of salt. Sure, you can try to explain it and try to give it a reason why it's high or low, but at the end of the day, we always advise to only trust the HbA1c blood sugar readings, because these readings are always trustworthy, they never lie, and they never show a wrong picture of your actual situation, because they measure your blood sugar over a longer period of time. They're not a snapshot of a moment, but they're the average of the past 8 to 12 weeks. And of course, that's way more reliable than a snapshot of time of your blood sugar. That's the video about all the reasons why your blood sugar might rise without you eating or drinking. If you want more information about this subject, there's a link of an article in the description of this video where we explain it all a bit better. And if you're on our website illnessfreelife.com anyway, don't forget to subscribe for free to our Diabetes Free Secret. This is a small document we compiled in which we teach you what the main causes of high blood sugar problems and type 2 diabetes are, and what you can do to prevent, improve, and fully reverse these problems with healthy nutrition. If you have any questions about this video, please leave a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.